Hello, America and the world. Welcome to another program of Life After Lockup. Some of you may ask why I say and the world. Well, you can view this program and any of the programs that we do on Paducah2.org. I believe you can hit view video and you can skim down to Life After Lockup and see any of the programs there. So call a neighbor, call a friend, call an enemy. Let them know that Life After Lockup is on. This is a program that is designed to show the public another side of incarceration and the lives that we live after we've been set free. The struggles, the victories, all of the ups and downs of life after lockup. Thank you so much again for joining us, and we are going to welcome with us today Mr. LaRance Leavell. God bless you, man. God bless you, and thank you for being here with us. And we've been sitting here talking, and it's interesting some things that you say, because a lot of our stories kind of parallel. You know, you're getting out a little bit, and you're about 30, and I got out of prison when I was about to turn 30. And but you were saying some things earlier about where some things started from, and that was kind of interesting. And I want you to kind of, if you don't mind, repeat that. I think you said you was at the age of 13 or 14?
Yes, at the age of 13 and 14, well, I was raised in a single parent family most of my life. After I was 7, when I was 7, my mother and my father, the father that I know, they got a divorce. But at 13 or 14, mom was working, I think it was KFC if I'm not mistaken, and she was paying the bills whenever she she could, but some time went by where I saw mama not eating, you know, for me and my sister to eat. So me being a male, or at the time I felt like I was only the man of the house.
Right.
I felt like I should be the one. If anybody wasn't going to eat, then they should eat those plates, and I should go out there and try to provide for myself. So that's what I went out and done. I mean, I went out there, and the funny thing about it was I had a cousin who was in the streets, and he used to tell me, because I used to make pretty good grades in school, so he used to tell me, no, I don't want you. I don't want you out there in the streets. Right. If you want to wear the clothes, you need food or whatever, you just talk to me, and I get it for you. So for a while, I wasn't really in the streets. I was just out there running with my cousin who was in the streets, but he wouldn't let me do nothing, but he'd make sure I go to school every day.
Okay.
But then he got incarcerated, and then when he got incarcerated, it was like the person who he was getting his stuff from and the crew that he was running with, it was like, I was like an everyday face to him. Okay. So then it was like, well, you know, basically I'm to them, I was like him.
Okay.
You know,
okay.
so then
right.
the door opened for me.
Okay.
And now to this day, he's been through a lot of things, and to me, he's an inspiration to me, because I think maybe 3 months ago, he just walked his paper down. He had 13 years, and he just walked it all the way down.
Oh man, that's
so
great.
And he lives now in northern United States, and he owns a home, and he's doing well for himself. You know?
Good. Now, from 13 to 14, you kind of started basically as an avenue to help support the family.
Yes.
Okay. Then what happened kind of after that? After the family kind of got supported or whatever, what happened?
Okay. Well, my mama never really happily accepted the money. I used to always kind of try to find a way to give her the money. You know, she wasn't big on that. You know, she worked, like if she had a resume now, the resume probably be that thick, literally.
Okay.
She done worked everywhere. So she wasn't big on that. She's not big on that. But I used to help my sister and different stuff that I could do. Right. But you know, I stayed in the streets like okay, the first time I actually got incarcerated, I was 14. Okay. I did 30 days. I got caught with some peanuts and Amazon in school at the Paducah Middle School. Right. So I went to jail. They found out it was fake. So they let me come home.
Oh, okay.
So then I was home then for maybe 6 to 8 months, and you know I was trying to show mama that I could do good, you know, because I saw how it stressed her out. But you know, the struggle hadn't changed. Right. You know, and I never really wanted to come to my mom and tell her about the struggle, or express to her about the struggle, because I seen how hard she was giving her all. Right. So I didn't want her to think by no means that what she was giving me wasn't good enough. Right. You know, but in here, you know, I just felt like we needed more. Right. 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 Not that I didn't have shoes or clothes, it just wasn't the shoes and clothes that I wanted. You know.
Okay, I understand.
So then I got back in the streets, and then at the age of, if I'm not mistaken, 15 to 16. I got incarcerated again. This whole time I was in the streets. I got incarcerated again, and this time I was actually in Metropolis, Illinois. I caught a case over. I had a car wreck, and the drugs we had scattered out on the floor. It was a girl with me. It was me and my cousin. The girl took the rap. She wanted to take the rap for both of us, but I told her that no, I'll take the rap for my own stuff. So my cousin let her take the rap for his. So I went to jail there for 9 months. So when I got out of jail, I came back to Paducah. I never forget it. It was I was home for 11 days from like the end of September to like August the 9th. And I was with my cousin again, and I forgot I had some drugs in my pocket. So a police officer pulled me over. They actually was pulling him over because they knew he didn't have a license, because he hadn't been anywhere. They knew him. But so I'm with him. They pull me out the car. He actually tells me to sit in the back seat of the car, but I think he says sit on the back of the car. So when I go to get to the back of the car, he grabbed me. He's like, he's trying to run. Goes in my pocket, and he found some drugs. So this time, I go back. Now, I was home for 11 days. I did 9 months, and I go to the Raymond Step home in Ashley, Kentucky for 14 months. So then when I got out of there, it was something else. When I got out of there, actually, to me, as a juvenile, that was the best thing. Any parent who feel like they can control their child, the Raymond Step home is a place where they will learn respect, they will learn discipline, they will learn the work. See,
now, what is that again?
It's the Raymond Step group home.
Okay.
It's in Ashley, Kentucky.
Okay.
And they not only do they teach you, but they appreciate you when you learn. You know, and they congratulate you, and it's the first time I ever went to a professional football game. You got a graduation phase before then. Okay. It's like it's a orientation, learning phase, lower progress, and then graduation. Okay. So when I came home from that, everything was like it was a whole lot of yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am to my mother and the people around me, and I was blessed to get a job in the casino. I worked there for a year and a half. Then my children's mother got pregnant with my first daughter, and when she got pregnant with her, I was making maybe $100 a month over there. A day over there, serving tables, but I didn't have transportation. So at times, you know, when you're a server, sometimes you don't get off of work. You might get off of work at 7 one night, but you might go to work 10 the next night, and I'd have to wait for people to come to Paducah to Metropolis to pick me up. So with that, first and foremost, Satan messing with my mind.
Of course.
With that, and her saying she's pregnant, I felt like I failed at 13 or 14. I got to get this money.
Got to step up.
So I turned around and went right back to the streets. And then from that point on in my life, it was kind of like, it was never enough. It was never enough. I mean, I could have everything. I mean, even my father that I live with now, he the only father I really ever knew, he was like, one day he told me, two things. One time he told me, he said, look, I know how you're doing in the streets. You're doing good, but you're lucky you haven't caught no felonies. He said, I need to help you find a job, but not one at McDonald's or nowhere, because I know you ain't going to stay there. I need to help you find you a job that's going to pay you good. And another thing, he came to me one day and he said, well, what do you want? He said, you got a truck. Your girlfriend got a 2000 model car. You're living in a 2004 trailer in 2004. And you're buying that. You're renting to own that. He's like, what else do you want? What is you after? But at this point in time, I'm so gone into it, like we was talking about earlier, you know, either you're a slave to Satan, you're a slave to God. Once you become a slave to Satan, he just got you like the puppet master got the puppets. He just doing, you don't even comprehend that you got enough. You know? Enough ain't never enough. You know?
Never enough.
So, I mean, and when I say, and I'm not wanting to brag or boast or maximize nothing, but when I say I had enough, it was actually times with me and my current girlfriend, we used to sit around and count money, fall asleep counting it, wake up and finish counting it the next day. When I say enough, I mean enough. I mean enough. We had enough to where but at that point I was greedy, and I was forehead deep, not knee deep, but I was forehead deep in it to the point to where nothing satisfied me like that. You know, not even my children. And that's why today I say that I'm a recovering addict, because some people say that they only think that you can be, because I went to a SAP program, and in the SAP program, they felt like, the counselors felt like you couldn't be addicted to this side of the drugs, but you could be to this side of the drugs. And I'm trying to clarify that I couldn't clarify because it kicked me out the program. But I'm trying to help them understand that, look, when you're selling drugs, anytime you touch that devil's potion, it's addictive. When you get the first time you make that fast money, it ain't nothing. It's nothing like it, and it's not easy money. Now people say it's easy money. Well, let's clarify that. It's not easy money. It's nerve wracking. I had a thumbprint. I had hair missing, big as my thumbprint, a bald spot in my head, that big, from stressing, from worried about people that want to rob you, worried about where you're gonna get the drugs at, worried about the police, worried about child services taking my children away if they catch me at the wrong time, not being able to spend time with my kids because I know that this is hanging over my head. It's not easy. It might be a little faster, but it's not. It's not easy. As they say. It's no life for a man. And I was watching a show one day, and a rapper everybody knows, T.I. He said a statement that I'll never forget. He said that if you take a 16-year-old male that's doing right, and you take a 16-year-old male that's doing wrong in the streets, he said it's so much more money legally than it is illegally, but we don't understand it. He said, because you think about it, the one that's in the streets, yeah, maybe he'll get his money faster. You know, he might get what you call hood rich or what have you. But before long, he been and went to penitentiary.
Right.
He been and got shot, maybe killed. His girlfriend or mama or anybody might have been tied up in duct tape or anything within those times. Where that same guy who was working at McDonald's at 16, it's going to be slow. It's going to be hard for him. But just look at him within 5 or 10 years difference.
Exactly.
That one 5 or 10 years, and I'm seeing this from experience.
Good.
I'm seeing guys that I know who, when I was out, was driving, living with their mama and driving old Hondas. Nowadays, 3.5 years, 4 years later, now they got new Suburbans, and I know they never touched the streets in their life. They just done it the right way. And when he said that, I was like, God, that was a big inspiration to me, because I'm like, where am I go? How am I do this? And even though the Lord says in the Bible, He says that well, if the birds and the lilies and them don't worry about where they're going to get their clothing or fed and none of that, why would we worry about it? I understand that.
Right.
And maybe if it was just for me, it would be easy for me to grasp that and understand that. But when I got children and their feet steady growing and they have to go to elementary school and the people to come in to give charity coats out, my kids have to get a charity coat. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Stuff like that is the same kind of stuff that made me go back to the streets.
Exactly.
Because I never really went to the streets just because I wanted to be. I'm not a thug. I'm not a gangster. And I understand that everybody ain't those things now today. But I just understood then that it was a part. When I see my loved one struggling, it just does something to me and her.
I feel like you have to do something.
Yes, I just feel like, because God blessed me to be around nothing but women. I don't have any brothers, so I've always been like the male, and I got a little boy now that he got all sisters. So he probably encountered the same situations, but at least I know the both sides of it to explain it to him.
And then plus having a male in his life that you didn't have.
Exactly.
That's gonna help him a lot too. And let me kind of jump in here real quick, because you had the last time you actually went to prison, you did 3 years.
Yes, and that was during that encounter. That's when I realized that I was realized that I was addicted. Because this is what happened. Okay, I catch August of 2005. I catch a drug charge. So I bind out, and I tell my children, Daddy ain't gonna go back no more. Daddy gonna do right. Okay. So, but then a month or two later, I'm still selling drugs. I catch a felony fleeing charge to keep from catching a drug charge, because I had to flee in the car and throw the drugs.
Right.
Okay. So I go to jail, and the Lord still provided a way. I know it wasn't the Lord in the streets, but to me, when anything make it possible for you to get out of them gates, the Lord has something to do
Lord
with
got something
it.
to do with it. Okay.
So He made it possible for me to come home. So then I get home, and I got a job. I'm working at Vinyl Tech Windows, but I'm still in the streets. On the low, I'm talking about my kids, my kids' mother, which my kids' mother always knew what I done. My kids' mother, none of them knew about it. They didn't know nothing about it. But I was still trying to, and my mentality was so, when I look back at it, was so, ignorant doesn't even cover it.
Right.
I was just addicted.
And you're saying something here, because we've had this conversation before with other people that are sitting where you're sitting, that people have to understand the addiction. You're not just addicted to the drug. There's one addiction, but the addiction to the money and to that lifestyle, that's just as powerful. Or sometimes sometimes even more powerful.
Because if you got the lifestyle and the drugs and the money, you can always use drugs.
Right.
I mean, some people
Right.
sell drugs just to provide their habit, but if you got the drugs, the money, and let's not even go into people like myself who got low self-esteem and the women that come with it. You understand what I'm saying? And,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all that. I mean, that just makes it make you feel like, I mean, it's just all worthwhile, whatever comes with it.
Right, and you while you were talking earlier, the scripture that came to me, and I don't want to be preaching, but it says, "Death and hell are never full, and the eyes of man are never satisfied." And when you mentioned about the devil, you know how he had just engulfed your mind and made all that stuff look like it's worth it. And I've even been there, even before I went to prison. All this stuff, like you said, the women, the money, all those things came with the lifestyle.
Right.
And when you are drawn to that, you'll do whatever you need to do to keep that kind of lifestyle coming.
Exactly.
Okay. So now this last time when you went in, what changed? What is it that caused you to like be sitting right here now?
See, like you said earlier, God knows us. He knows my heart. So he knows that all these things I've been doing is because I felt like I was obligated and that my children and my family wouldn't be able to make it if I didn't do these things, okay?
Okay.
So I'm in there and I find out my kids is basically homeless at this time, okay?
While you was in prison?
While I'm in prison.
Okay.
So at this point, the way I look at it, I was hog time. I couldn't do nothing.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm in there and I'm going through it. I'm having the hardest time dealing with it. I mean, that's the hardest thing I had to deal with. Because I knew with their mother, I had a lot of responsibility for. When we was together, she used to always tell me, let me go to school, let me go to work, and I'm like, no, you just take care of the kids, I provide all the money. But she's really trying to tell me that I'm trying to make a life for me if something happened to you.
Right.
But I wouldn't let her. So when this stuff happened in the penitentiary, I'm like, okay, she should be doing this or she should be doing this, but think about it. If you'd have let her practice, she'd have it.
You kind of handicapped her.
Right, I did. And I enabled her to, and I take responsibility to that even to this day. So I'm sitting in there and I feel hog-tied and I'm like, what can I do? I can't go sell drugs. I can't do nothing in here.
Right.
So what can I do? So I finally realized that I can't do nothing. Only thing I can do is put it in the hands of somebody who runs all this. Right. The only being who can do something. So I got on my knees and I prayed to the Lord 3 times a day. When I woke up, in the middle of the day, and every night before I went to sleep, I made sure I prayed. I made sure I prayed to Him, and I picked up my Bible and I started reading it, and I started trying to get with people who was into the Bible and are trying to understand it. I mean, because when I got locked up, I literally asked a 16-year-old, what is a sin? And he laughed at me. He said, what do you mean, what's a sin? I said, I don't know what a sin is. He said, did your mama teach you right and wrong? I said, yeah. He said, well, then you know what a sin is.
Right, you know what a sin is.
You know what I'm saying?
Right, you know
basically,
what a sin
he's telling me that, he didn't say this, but basically he's telling me anything that the Lord say you shouldn't do and you do it,
that's a sin.
That's a sin. That's basically what he's telling me. But I didn't even fathom it when he told me right from wrong. I didn't even catch it. But I was like, can't be no sin. That's what I'm thinking. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But that's what really helped me really realize that when I realized it. And then something else for those who don't understand the magnitude of having the Lord in your life. If you're carrying a burden, to know that you don't have to carry that burden, that He will carry it. It's like, I can't even tell you how many pounds I don't weigh but 195, but it felt like the pressure that I've been carrying on my shoulders for so long lifted up when I realized that He would take care of it. And then not only that, but days went by and my kids was all right. You know, they was all right. I might even seen them, but I could just heard, people tell me, yeah, I saw them, they healthy. At this point, until I get on my knees, I really didn't think they would make it. I thought they would be in a foster home. I thought they would be molested. I thought all the craziest thought I could think. But I honestly and I sincerely believe today that the Lord heard my prayers because He knew it came from heart. And He took care of my kids. And for that, I could never, I backslide, I might, I'm not perfect, but I could never forget Him for that. Because He, the one thing, my greatest fear, I put it in His hands and He took care of it.
And that's a powerful thing because now here you are, and having that feeling of helplessness, because your family's out there and you know that if you were there, they wouldn't be going through what they're going through, but you are, like you said, hogtied, not able to do anything. And that is really the best place for a person to be when they realize that God can.
Exactly.
What I can't do, God can do. Now, you've been out now for how long?
6 months and 3 days today.
6 months and 3 days today. Okay, and how are things going with you now? What?
It's one day at a time. It's like in there. I had a schedule, and that's what I do here. They say idle mind's the devil's workshop. I keep myself busy. If I'm not at an NA meeting, or if I'm not in the gym, or if I'm not at work, then I'm trying to be with my kids, with my family. That's my daily schedule. So it's like, even today, I feel like, because my relationship with him is not as close as it was then. I know that. He knows that. But it's like, I feel like he's still, like living in overflow, he's still pouring blessings on me for how close I was when I was in there to him. That's how I feel.
Okay.
Because it's like, okay, when I got home, my auntie, I had worked for her before at Wendy's, but she's like an auntie to me.
Right.
I worked for her before at Wendy's. And when I got home, I was looking for, because I had took up carpentry when I was in there, so I was trying to find a job on carpentry, and I could find a job. They might pay me $8.50 or $10 an hour, but I might not work, but 10 hours, 15 hours a week. And I'm not knocking those people who gave me that opportunity at all, because I understand it's the recession.
Right.
But I got 4 kids, so I knew I
Right.
had to do more. Right. So she told me, come on out there, I'll give you a job. So she gave me a job. So I worked there for 6 months. I'm still currently working there.
Okay.
So I worked there, and it really just kept me in the mode of working mode. You know? It wasn't like I tell the young guys to come in there and get a job. This is not no career. This is not, very few people become a general manager here. You make good money for general manager, but very few do. But what this does is give you work history. That's what it gave me. I didn't have work history. He gave me work history. He gave me work ethics. He gave me a paycheck where I could at least put, I might not be able to buy a four on some shoes this week, but I'm getting paid every week. I buy 2 of y'all pair of shoes this week and 2 next week. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And since I've been gone, my kids understand the struggle so much to where they, okay, daddy, they can understand that, you know?
Right.
So, but since then, he's blessed me with, an opportunity to be able to run into people through, like the same things, like I was telling you, the same things I use in the streets, where I used to try to call somebody, get a hold of somebody to where I could find something to where I could sell to make a profit. The same mentality and aspect. I use the same thing this time, but this time I'm just trying to do it the right way. So I'm calling people, I'm running into people, I'm networking. I understand you all who you associate yourself with. So I'm trying to associate myself with people who that are doing what I'm trying to do. And in doing it, the Lord blessed me to be in the same area or the same environment with people who had a good enough heart to reach down to me and be like, look, I'm gonna give you the opportunity to try to see what you can do. So since then, he gave me a job, and a job where I'm having part-time, but I'm working towards full-time. You know, and he also put me in a position around people a lot of people who they satisfied with where they at. Good. And they're comfortable where they at. Okay, so, and then he puts me in the same situation where I'm looking at these people like, do you see the opportunity in front of you? Right. Can you see what? Do you see? We working with the doctor every day. Every day we see the doctor. We doing the doctor paperwork. So that tells me that, the doctor's teaching me, and he's willing to give me his books to read, and my bosses tell me I can go to school and mid-continent and take this up. Do you understand what we got here in front of us? You're not grasping what we got here. We can really we can make a career out of this. You understand what I'm saying?
What you're saying is you can go further. And we said something earlier, because we got about 4 minutes. I know time is going to kind of go by fast because you really said a lot of good things here. But you had said something earlier about how we are a different breed sometimes, and I think I had even mentioned this to another guy that was sitting there. We're a different breed because it seems like we've lost so much, and when during the time of incarceration, we think so much different because we miss out on the things in life that most people take for granted. Exactly. If you've never lost your freedom, you don't know how valuable freedom is.
Don't grasp it.
And now that your freedom has been taken, it's like now you have an opportunity to be free, and you want to take full advantage of the freedom and the opportunity that's ahead of you. Now you are 30 now, right?
Yes.
Okay, you got a long life ahead of you if things don't happen in the world, don't end or whatever. How do you feel that 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 you're going to be in 5 years from now? What do you feel? What do you think about your future now?
Same question my father used to ask me when I was in the streets. I couldn't give him an answer then. But today, I know that if I keep God first and I keep working and just putting everything I got into it 110% every day, then I can reach whatever goal I set. You know, today, you know, I want to get into real estate, you know, the carpentry. I got 16 hours left to finish to be a carpenter. I want to finish that and then actually get into real estate to where I can actually fix my houses and sell them. That's what I want to do. And I know with God first, I mean, I was facing 80 years. He knocked it down to 17 for me. He brought me home in 3.5 years.
Wait a minute, you was facing how much?
80 years.
80.
He brought that down to 17 for me. I did 3.5 years and I came home. When you got somebody in your corner that can do
Like
that, in 5 years, I can't even tell you where I might be. As long as I keep God first and I keep paying them tithes every week, that ain't no limit.
Can't lose.
And
that's the attitude that you need to have, because that's the attitude that I had in when I first got out sacking groceries. It's like the sky's the limit. As long as I got God on my side, there's really no limit as to how far I can go.
Ain't no recession in heaven.
Exactly.
Ain't no recession in heaven.
Exactly. I say that all the time. You know,
It's not.
God's got everything that we need if we stick with Him.
Exactly.
You know, and you've been a young man. You got your whole future ahead of you, and the sky is really the limit. The sky really is the limit, and I'm just excited to have met you. And I'd mentioned to you earlier, you are the first guest that I've had that have been out less than a year. And normally I do that only because I want to get some people to have some good quality time, so they won't get back in trouble or whatever. But I know they at least have a history of being out. Right. But it was something about you and your conversation that we've had that just inspired me, that made me feel like that you were a different breed. And the things that you're saying is important for people to hear, so that they can understand that change might be difficult, but it is possible. And we have less than a minute now, and I want to just thank you for sharing with us. And I know you have so much else, other things that you want to say, but you did an excellent job on going from 14 all the way up to now. Thank you. We know a little bit more about you. And I just want to encourage you, man, because I do know I've been out of prison for 22 years, and I know it is possible. And we have some of the similar backgrounds, similar time and everything like that, and similar age. So I just want to encourage you and just keep looking up, and things will get better. With the mentality that you got, you can't go anywhere but up.
I just want to share one more thing, if I can. It's quick.
30 minutes.
But I
30 seconds.
read Malcolm X's book, and something he said in there. He said that, and this is for people that's incarcerated. He said the second best place to get an education besides college is being incarcerated. He said because you're not in the rat race.
Right.
You in there, you can spend time with yourself. Mm-hmm. You can spend time focusing on yourself. Either you can learn to do worse, or you can learn to do better.
That is so good.
So people that's incarcerated, you're incarcerated for a reason. God got you there for a reason. Use it.
Take advantage of the time.
Exactly.
And I tell people that all the time.
Exactly.
Man, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you. God bless you. And just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for joining Life After Lockup. God bless you. You have a marvelous day.